Yeah, that's better. Oh, yeah.
Chasing barra and pressured systems comes with difficulties. They're very smart or very instinctive, and they get very good at knowing what anglers and lures look like. Great lesson recently was heading to the Fitzroy River and basically putting behind us the fact that we had to use lures and see what we could learn by throwing baits, and there were some great lessons on offer.
Yeah, 100%, Nige. And again, I've mentioned this a few times in the past, but I find that bait fishing is something a lot of us have forgotten about. I almost feel like it's a forgotten art. We possibly do get hung up with the hype of media, social media and things, and this is how you do it and this is what's working. But what has always worked for me in a tough time, a tough bite in the past, is putting a live bait in the right position.
Chasing barra in a tidal system then, catching some bait, what's the simplest bait to go and catch?
It's not so much the simplest bait. I like to say what bait's on offer, and every system has a season. You'll get runs of prawns, you'll get runs of mullet, you'll get runs of sards and herring. There's all sorts of things that move in and out of the system as the year goes on. So whatever is on hand at the time you're there to fish is generally going to be the #1 choice of bait.
Great time for catching live bait?
I like low tide. Mud banks are exposed. It pushes that bait that's hidden up in the mangroves into the main systems, which gives you a really good shot at them with a cast net.
Cool, so we caught our live bait, go find our fish. What sort of spots you look for to throw a bait?
Again, we basically focus on the same locations you would target them on lures. You'll find your rock bars, you'll find your drains, you'll find your snags. I don't like to focus on them big aggregations of schooling fish. I try to leave them a bit alone. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'd rather target actively feeding fish. So I'll try and find a position where a fish is going to feed, not going to sit.
Cool. Now rigs.
Anyone that knows anything about me knows that I love a dropper rig, a paternoster rig. I use them so religiously for so many different things. There's a lot of art in a paternoster in regards to your sounder setup. You look at your sounder will dictate how high and low the fish are feeding. When we talk barras, I really like keeping my bait off the bottom. We talk about it regularly, barras eyes, top of the head, upturned mouth, they feed above their head. So I really struggle with the concept of locking a bait on the bottom for a fish that feeds up there.
Makes a lot of sense. The type of gear you use?
Spin reels, light thread lines, doesn't have to be anything too, extreme. We're talking 30-pound braids, great, 80-pound leader, and all around you'll catch 1.20 metre fish on that setup.
The thread lines, bait casters.
You can use a bait caster.
As long as
what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Cool. And the bite is pretty distinctive.
Very distinctive bite there. We know the size of a barra's mouth. If you've got a mullet this big or a prawn this big out there, it's not going to be sitting there nibbling on it. She's up, gone. That rod will just go down.
All right, so key tip for someone getting their head around going and catching their first barra on a bait would be what?
Good preparation to start with, so make sure your line's all up to scratch, rod's in good condition. Nice long leader, 80 pound is my preference. Give yourself plenty of line. Drop a rig, paternoster rig, so a nice loop, Carly hook from a 7.0 through to a 10.0, again depending on bait and fish size. Can downsize if there is smaller fish in the area, but as a general rule, we're not chasing small fish when we're talking barras. We want the 700 long ones or better. Sinker size, something's going to get you to the bottom and anchor you there. I don't like baits drifting or dragging when I'm live baiting for barras. I've found the snag, I've found the drain, the barras are sitting in that drain, the river's running hard. I want that bait anchored there, and that's going to determine your drop of length because it's going to pull over with the current. So
some great tips for your next session chasing tidal barra on baits.